And welcome one and all. My name is Jason Davis, and this is Empower Volusia Common Sense. And what do we do here? People have asked, what do you do on Common Sense? Well, we tell you about common sense and how things in government are working or not working. And if you're doing something out of the ordinary and you are an elected official, believe me, I catch wind of it, I'm going to call you out. That's right, we're going to call you out and let everybody know what the real truth about what is going on.
You can't handle the truth!
And that's right, because some people can't. And I hope nobody's head's going to explode for this one, because, by the way, you can, and this is how I got this information. You can contact me through jasondavispodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow me personally on Facebook, or we are on YouTube and Twitter. So you can Twitter us, you can YouTube us, you can Facebook us, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff to get a hold of me and to let me know the information or questions that you have. And somebody sent me a question. They said they were somewhere yesterday and they heard the discussion about water quality. My favorite subject of all, because during my years in council chair, as a council chair, I was there for 4 years. And during my years there, one of our council members, Mr. Doug Daniels, he said, I think this was in the first year of my office, in my term, he said he'd been down on his boat in the Intercoastal Waterway and it smelled like poo-poo, sewer. I said, that's interesting. Maybe I better investigate it. That's what a good representative of the people does. He goes and investigates. See, I very rarely sat in my office. I had an office. It was basically for special meetings and signing documents. Every other day of the week or the 4 years, I was on the road. I was somewhere in this county talking with people at their venues, at their homes, at their places of business, on the beaches. And I put over 40,000 miles per year on my car. Yeah, it was a new car until after my 4 years, and then I had 178,000 miles on it. Yeah, Bundy, it was quite the, and I went through 2 sets of tires on that car too, so it was quite the job. But anyways, so I went out and I did the investigation, and I got a hold of a corporation, a little-known corporation that people don't really know about. It's called Battelle Corporation, and I met with one of their lead scientists here in Volusia County, talking to him about water quality, and he says, that's something near and dear to my heart. I said, cool, let's talk about it. So he and I, together with some other nonprofit organizations locally, did some investigation. We checked water solids, water temperatures, took water samples, and he sent them off to get tested and all this other good stuff. And we came up with a program to fix the intercoastal waterway problem. Now, this intercoastal waterway problem is not what everybody is saying it is. It is not. They're saying that it's nitrogen-based products being poured on the ground. That is not the problem with our water systems, our open waterways. That's not the problem. Let me tell you how these, and everybody says it's nitrogen. Well, nitrogen is a factor. Not going to argue that. But nitrogen is not from the nitrogen-based chemicals everybody's pouring on their yards. Although, personally, I don't pour anything on my yard, and it's green as it can be. But then again, I do live here in the Iron Bunker, and we've got chickens and horses and cats and dogs and all kinds of critters running around outside, so my yard gets fertilized quite well. But the people in towns, they apparently like to pour fertilizer on the ground. And it's high nitrogen base. And there's nothing the county can do about it. It's just what the manufacturer makes. But then they went to the extreme and saying, well, it's the septic tanks. And this was the discussion last night. And today is, by the way, 8/14. And the discussion last night was, the county and the cities are going to force everybody to hook up to a centralized waste disposal system. That's right. Now, what basis of data do you have? Give me the empirical data where I can check it and I can find out that this is a problem. So I looked. I went from the east side to the west side of the internet, from the north side to the south side. I traveled all around. I even went to the dark web, which is actually just part of the internet. So don't let anybody freak you out about the dark web. It's just the internet, parts that people don't advertise. So anyways, I went everywhere. I found that the latest empirical data that I could find on Volusia County and their waterway was done in 1998. That's it. Now, that's 20 years ago plus. Let's think this through. A lot's happened in 20 years. A lot of technology has happened in 20 years. So for them to go on a 1998 study and say, yep, well, we got a problem, and we're going to blame it all on septic tanks. Let me tell you how a septic tank works, folks. Most people don't really know. A septic tank, when your wastewater comes out of your house, it goes into a tank, big tank, and you just think it floats up. No, there's baffles in there, which do not allow solids to go past it, because solids float. They're floatable solids, and they float. Then what happens is there's bacteria. You've heard of these little enzymes you drop in your toilet. Well, go ahead and drop them in there. It is not going to hurt your system. And what it does is it actually helps to break down, pardon me there, it helps to break down the solid matter that is in your septic tank, papers and all the other good stuff you got floating around in there. And it helps to break it down and degrade it to where what you have left on the other side of this baffle, which is a dividing wall with a small section on the very low side where gray water can get by, that is the gray water. The gray water rises, and then it will go through the exit port in your septic tank. So you got all the solids on one side of a wall, on the other side you just have gray water. And that gray water slowly drains out of your system every day, unless you're like me. My system has a small lift motor in there, which lifts the gray water out and pumps it into my drain field. Your drain field is gravity fed, maybe. And this goes out there, and it's full of nitrogen. Oh, trust me, that water is super nitrogen saturated. And when it floats out into the drain field, which has what they call little pebbles of rocks around it so that the water can percolate easier. But let me tell you what happens at that point. Your grass is your best friend, because your grass just sucks up almost all of the nitrogen it can suck up. That's why the grass is always greener over the septic tank, because that percolation feeds that with water and the nutrients necessary to make it green, which is what everybody's pouring on their yard. So a septic tank actually helps your yard. And if you had a little forethought, you could take your drain field and actually make it go around your yard a couple of, through all the piping and everything, and drain into the yard. And you would never ever need any kind of fertilizer. My yard is, like I said, absolutely green, and over the drain field of my place, which is elevated, the grass is so green, I have to go over it 4 or 5 times with a mower. And I don't use a little bitty mower neither. I mean, I use a big whopping commercial size 0 radius, because I've got a lot of grass to cut out here in the old iron bunker. So anyways, hold on one second. Get a little dry with this discussion here. Coffee is good. Anyways, so there we go. That's how your drain field works. And that's how your septic system works. What they want you to do is hook to, and they're saying that the nitrogen and all these are coming out of your drain field and percolating into the ground and tainting the water with the nitrogen. Let's go on. Now we're going to go a little farther into the weeds, folks. So hang on, put on your bush hats. Here we go. What they want to do is connect everybody up, hundreds of thousands of people to a septic system, lift stations and pumps and gravity feeds. I mean, it's trust me, the term poo-poo flows downhill is true. But if you don't have a downhill slide, because we do live in Florida, it's fairly flat, you have to pump it downhill. So there's more money, more cost, more everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all this poo-poo water, gray water, into our septic system. And then it goes to this big, huge processing plant, which is probably about 150 times bigger than your normal septic tank at your house. Very important note there. 100 to 150 times larger than your septic tank at your house. And they're servicing 100,000 people. wait a minute. You're one family, maybe 2-3 people, on a septic tank, 1/100th the size of a filtration plant. And yours is causing a problem. But wait, let's go. And it goes through their process, and it's all done through biologicals. They don't pour chlorine or anything like that on this water. Not unless they're going to use it for reclaim. And I wouldn't use reclaimed water on my yard, on my dog, on my car, on anything, because it's so high of chlorine that it will kill your grass. So we don't want to use that. But anyways, it filters through, and then the excess gray water filters out into a retention pond where it percolates into the ground. Now let's think about this, folks. They're using a system that's 100 times bigger than yours. 150 times bigger. 9,000 gallons here. They probably got 900,000 gallons there. That's 100 times. It's almost 1 million gallons of water. Gray water. It'll handle it. But they're telling me that my system, which is 100th of their size, is not adequate to destroy or break down the bacteria and everything and flow nice and smoothly and safely into the water, into the ground, whereas they're going to take something that is 1/100th. They're serving thousands of people. And all of that is going into the ground. There, in one spot. That's not a good idea. You're going to pour all this stuff in one place. Now, here's what happens. Groundwater is different than aquifer water. Groundwater is the level of, like when you dig a hole in the beach, the water fills up your little hole to the level of the ocean. Well, that's the same way it is throughout the land here. You dig a hole, and that's when you hit water, that's the groundwater level. And all of those hundreds of thousands of households of bacteria and whatevers are filtrating at that one point. One point. There's a term called dilute and disperse, and this is not diluting and dispersing. This is just dispersing when you have 100,000 separate units, dispersing all over the county. We're a county of 500,000, by the way. Then that is true dilute and disperse. But we're moving on. The real problem here that we have with our intercoastal waterways, and I do have to kind of make this quick, is a simple little compound called ammonia. And it's hydrogen and nitrogen. It's nitrogen and 3 hydrogen atoms, and that makes ammonia. And you know the smell when you pour it into water. What happens? It hits the water, and it starts to evaporate, and voila, you have that ammonia smell. Okay? That's the problem. And the problem in our intercoastal waterways and every other waterway here is not that we're pumping in the nitrogen or the nitrogen is finding its way to the waterway. That's not the problem. The problem is the flow of the water. The water gets in, nitrogen gets into that water, yes, but then if you don't have flow to replace that water with fresher water, intercoastal waterway, Indian River Lagoon, it goes there and it stops, and that water sets there. It is such a slow migration for the water from one end of Mosquito Lagoon to get to the open water of the ocean. It takes forever. And the ammonia accumulates. And accumulates and accumulates. And where does it accumulate? It doesn't accumulate on the top side of the water, no. It doesn't accumulate in the middle level of water, no. It accumulates on the base of the water, on the bottom. That's right. So how do we get rid of the ammonia? Because it is the nitrogen issue. Well, that's simple. We came up with a plan through a company called Battelle, who did a study, and they have a white paper on this. And I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement with them. So I can't give you all the facts and numbers and information on it, but I can tell you that this is the problem. And I can tell you that Battelle Corporation, local operation of it, and the national level came up with a plan to fix this problem under my recommendations and private organizations' recommendations and local scientists and doctors' recommendations. We put our brains together and we said, this will work. And it's very simple. We force the water movement, which is easy to do. believe it or not. It's really actually quite easy to make this happen. And we agitate the water. We get oxygen down into the base, because when oxygen hits that ammonia, it helps to break it up, and you come up with with water, H2O, and you have an NH, which is looking for another O. It finds the O, and it floats up, and it becomes an inert gas into the oxygen, which we normally breathe, 76% nitrogen anyways. So we're taking this liquid form of nitrogen, and we're lifting it out of the water because we're making it lighter. We're agitating it. If you pour ammonia in a bucket of water, it kind of doesn't do anything until you stir it up. Then you smell the ammonia. Well, that's what we're trying to accomplish. And we were shot down by the county council. All they had to do was say, yes, we will make a resolution of support, and they would not give a resolution of support because the county chair at that time, me, said, this is what needs to happen to fix this problem. And all the other people that were sitting up there, and believe it or not, 2 of the people that voted with me on that process were opposing sides of the aisle from me. All my, so to speak, colleagues on my side of the aisle voted against me, because this was going to fix a problem and not leave it open for future discussions. That's politics. We get to sit and argue and talk about it and tell everybody how terrible it is. And yes, we need to do something about it. Like one of my quote unquote colleagues is doing right now, or has been doing right now. She's out there saying the water is horrible, but you were given a plan 5 years ago on how to fix it. And this was not a simple 3-day thing that we did. This took me 9 months to accumulate the data, meet with Battelle and other scientists locally who all endorsed this project and said, this is the way to do it. This will fix the problem, and then you won't have to talk about it anymore. At that time, it was going to be a $40 million project. Today, it'd probably be about $140 million to get it done. And I've discussed that in one of my previous podcasts of water. So, folks, this is a ridiculous, another tail wagging the dog. And as a matter of fact, one of the city council members, or city managers, or somebody that was from a city, I can't remember, I'm not going to go exactly who it was because I do not recall. It was an email, and I don't have that hanging up. But they said, you're going to have to do it whether you like it or not. And here's your money. Because everything in government's about money. $12,000 to hook up to the sewer system. Whether it's county or city, it's going to cost $12,000 to hook up to it. Oh, we'll put that on your tax bill so you can pay on it for the next 20 years at $1,200 a year, which is $100 and some odd a month, $140 a month. And then, oh, but wait, there's more. When you actually use your water, they triple the cost for your waste. So now you're paying to hook up to something you really don't even want to hook up to. And then you're going to pay every month in a regular bill. Yes. Shirley, I'm serious.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
And that is true. It's just ridiculous how they're going to tax you and tax you and tax you. They couldn't get and this is part of that tax. They couldn't get a half-cent sales tax, so they're going to find another way to basically take every dime out of your back pocket, and that is through property tax, which is another tax, and we're going to tax the hell out of you. And then service fees for your waste, which is 3 times the cost of your water. If you're paying $40 on water a month, get ready, add another $120 to it. So you're going to pay $160, $160 a month for water and sewer. These septic systems were designed to be safe for years and years and years. This happened in New Jersey. They did that in a certain city in New Jersey, and what they did is they condemned all wells and septic systems. And then if you went and had it tested again by somebody outside of the county or the city or the state, And they dropped that off. They said, nope, your data is wrong. You're still condemned. Remember, it's government. And at that point, it becomes socialist government. It's a government organization telling you what you will do and how much you're going to lose in your paycheck. Darn, that sounds pretty socialistic to me. They did it to Jersey, and that's why they forced a lot of people out of these little bitty areas around big cities, because they knew that they could get more money from more people. See, a lot of people here in Volusia County have been living here forever. They've been living here for their whole lives, and they don't pay a lot of property tax because they're homesteaded, and their property value can only go up. I mean, see, we can get way into the weeds here. It's a way of forcing people out so new people can come in and buy those properties so they can get the higher taxes on those properties. That's exactly what it's about. So, and plus, it take you for every dime you got, $12,000 to hook up, plus another $120 a month on service fees. Darn. You know, if I was there, I'd be pushing my... let's get the damn problem fixed, because fixing this is not the right way to do it. And I'm just hoping that maybe, who knows, one day some common sense is going to take effect and somebody will listen.